call the agenda for the City of Clear Lake Shores City Council regular meeting, September 17, 2019, at 6:33. Item number 2, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. And I believe item 3 is being stricken for tonight, Christy or Brent.
Yeah, item 3 is stricken. Clear Creek ISD canceled evening events, and they'll make a decision regarding school by 6 a.m. tomorrow.
Okay. And item number 3, public hearing, A, 702 Oak Road, junked boat, public nuisance and abatement and nuisance, removal from public or private property disposal. Anybody here for the public hearing? Okay, no one shown. And then item B, adoption of the fiscal year 20 city budget. Anybody here want to discuss anything on the budget? Having none, public hearing is closed. Item 4, reports from council. Councilman Mark Thompson.
I have nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Councilwoman Christy Lyons.
Just a reminder again that as of October 1st, Clear Lake Shores will no longer be receiving emergency services through CLMC or Clear Lake Emergency Medical, and after November 15th, they will no longer take 911 calls.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons. Councilwoman Angie Taylor.
I have two items. That's okay. I know you hate me. The first was council minus Mark. He was away on a trip, but council and mayor attended the Patriot Awards, the League City Chamber of Commerce, to honor our officer Pete Beeler, who received an award. Chief Cook presented it to him and cited the many reasons why Sergeant Beeler received the award, including foiling a theft ring at Targets and Home Depots citywide, not only ours. A seizure of counterfeit funds, seizure of counterfeit or of illicit drugs, a lot of criminal, how do you say that when they get charged? Criminal charges. And I mean, just it was great. It was a proud moment for all of us to hear Chief Cook present him with that award and cite why. And it reminds us that Clear Lake Shores on this side of the bridge maybe it's a little different than Clear Lake Shores on that side of the bridge, and that side of the bridge sometimes can be a little freaky, and grateful that we have stand-up police officers to protect us from some of the freaky things. Second thing, Mayor and Brent and I attended the EDC meeting last Tuesday. The engineer was there that helped us design and lay out the plans for the parking lot, and it was interesting to hear the things that he had to say. Interesting to hear the interaction between the EDC and the engineer, and a lot of questions. My questions were answered. I had a lot of questions that all the Islanders did, and Kurt and Brent did too, and got a lot of good answers to those questions and some resolve going forward. Mistakes were made. That's just, I don't want to steal your thunder if you're going to do an EDC update, but mistakes were made by all of us, and maybe communication could have been a little better. And that was a really, it was a learning experience at that meeting, and going forward, we have some things that we do differently. So that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Terrell. Councilwoman Jan Bailey.
Thank you. Last week was a busy week, I believe, for all of us, and thanks, Angie, for showing. A lot of us were there showing support for our police department and Sergeant Baylor. I attended the CLMC meeting, the Emergency Services Board meeting, the Galveston County Mayor and Council meeting put on by League City, and it was very nice. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Councilwoman Amanda Fenwick.
I'll have anything tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Fenwick. Just a couple items. Ditto on Sergeant Baylor. That was awesome to attend that and see him receive that award. Now I have a challenge for everybody. We have a Bay Area Heart Walk for the mayors coming up on November 9th, 2019. It starts at 0800 hours. Kema Boardwalk, 215 Kip Avenue. I gave all the council members and some of the staff a flyer on that. And so the challenge is to go against the mayors. They're doing trophies for how many people you have and then how much money you raise. And we will have a team called the Clear Lake Shores Waddlers.
The
As in
Waddlers.
ducks waddle.
Sunset Waddlers. All right, you'll see it up there. It'll say Clear Lake Shores. Next is the fire marshal service is to be contracted out. I think Brent might talk about this more, but WCID removed that portion of the contract that was never really budgeted, from what I understand. And then also, just a reminder, National Night Out is October 1st. And then also we have Back to Blue this weekend, 11 to 4. We'll be hosted and coordinated by residents and support of the Clear Lake Shores Police Department coming up. And then, so come volunteer, donate in a silent auction item, or purchase a shirt. And you can contact Rachel Muzak or Mary Mullins Ramby. And it's also in the Islander. And that's all I have. Item number 5, staff reports, Police Department Chief Cook.
The 2019 Patriots Award luncheon held this past Friday the 13th was excellent. Sergeant Pete Baylor works very hard every day. He does a great job and was an outstanding choice to receive this year's award. He has most certainly earned it. Back to Blue event, looking forward to attending this year's annual event this Saturday, September 21st from 11 to 2, and I hope to see everyone there. Electronic ticket writer update. I have nothing good to report about this right now. Superion still has to fix those checked boxes on our citation form, and they said they can't even schedule to start working on that project until the beginning of October. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chief Cook. Any questions?
Is that the only vendor that provides that service? Is that the only vendor that provides that service?
There was other companies that we looked at. We chose Superion because Galveston County Sheriff's Office
That's right.
does that, and OSSI, everything that we've got, we piggyback.
Yeah.
with-
Sorry.
So, good. All right, building official Kevin Harrell.
Well, Mayor and Council, since our last meeting, under the building department, I've issued 11 permits. All of those permits are minor permits, no new construction as of yet. Report on 311 Narcissus, it was to be scheduled to be demoed early this month. Unfortunately, the lawyer representing the bank has filed an injunction. I will have to go to court with our city attorney on the 23rd, and we'll see what happens. 822 Hawthorne was demoed last week. Everything looks good. It's now a clear site. Unknown if a new home will go there in the near future. I'm happy to report that Home Depot has contacted me, and they are going to build a tool rental at our Home Depot. If you've ever been to one, it rents out minor tools, chainsaws, that type of thing to the public. Also, they are going to have much larger, like scissor lift, bobcats, things of that nature, wood chipper. So it's going to be a nice addition for us. Code enforcement, all my cases are currently settled because of our weather. There's been no need to cut the grass. That's all I have.
Thanks, Kevin.
Kevin, I have one question on the Home Depot thing there. It looks like they're building in the middle of the parking lot. Is there any ordinances issues or building permit issues with doing that?
No, sir, Mayor. They're not building in the parking lot. What they are is they're going to put a screened area for the bigger equipment.
Okay.
The addition is going in between the contractor's canopy and the exit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Fire Chief Brent Hahn.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. 64 calls for total for August, 18 of those being fire, 2 in Clear Lake Shores, a hazmat, down power line, 13 in Kema, 10 fire alarms, 2 MVAs, 1 outdoor burning call, 2 in the county, 1 hazmat, 1 down power line, 1 mutual aid in Texas City for a brush fire. EMS related calls 46. Clear Lake Shores had 9, Kema 34, the county had 3. Special operations, we had no special operations calls. Fire marshal activities, we had 52 for the month. Business occupancy meeting, construction meetings, and pre-planned meetings, 2 for Clear Lake Shores, 3 for Kema. Fire inspections, system testing, site visits, 17 Clear Lake Shores, 23 Kema, 1 in the county. Fire plan reviews, 1 in Kema, 1 in Clear Lake Shores and 5 in Kema. Our department meetings, we attended the Galveston County Firefighters Association meeting. We had 3 training drills for the month of August. Emergency management, we did have 1 OEM and 1 LEPC meeting. We did have 1 situation weather monitoring call that was drought related. 1 meeting for the Galveston County Complex Coordinated Terrorist Attack event, exercise that's coming up. We had a webinar on a ransomware attack that was on the state of Texas. I don't know how many of y'all were affected, but the state had to activate its EOC and get all the IT people. They put out a webinar on how to better secure your your computer from ransomware, and they believe it came through an actual legitimate email address. So kind of scary there. KFD roster, we did hire 2 new part-timers and actually have 2 volunteers coming on board. Both the volunteers coming on board have fire. They're both paramedics, so really good catch there. Volunteer recruiting effort. I actually looked at our volunteer recruiting efforts, and some of the things I'm talking to my peers. I don't know if y'all noticed that the big LED sign in Kema, it's been stuck on the Kema Volunteer Fire Department for like the last 3 or 4 days, which is kind of great but unintentional. They're having some issues with it. We have a sign in front of our station. We have periodic, we call bandit signs we put up, and our social media. We have the best success from social media and word of mouth. So what we're going to take with the help of Councilwoman Fenwick is we're going to push out notifications to specific ages in our area. The cost is nominal, but to kind of hit the age range we're looking for and to push our social media out. But every time we post something, it goes on the Clear Lake Shores website, and we appreciate that the social media is our best choice. And then we also we've done a lot of recruiting events, going out to Chick-fil-A, going to Barktoberfest, maybe only doing recruiting actually once or twice a year and focusing on that time for us to be able to recruit people, get a good recruit class to go in instead of constantly recruiting. So those are some of the things that we're going to be looking at and moving forward. Our station schedule, we went to a new program called When to Work, which is a computer-based program that allows us, at least the guys would call up and say, hey, put me on for tonight, or hey, I'm available from 6 to 10 or something like that. These are the volunteer side. So we're actually able to keep up with it on a computer instead of a written calendar. It looks horrible, but it's how we're keeping track of our volunteer time and our part-time people that are there. So we're really looking forward to the When to Work. We have some updates on some inventories that are going into the water district. And last but not least, I don't think I need to say anything about the weather, folks. It has changed dramatically since our last call yesterday onto a warning, to a cone, to an area, and now it has a name. We do anticipate some heavy weather tonight. We have extra people on at the station. So many, in fact, we had to buy an extra 2 air mattresses, which is great because we have volunteers living at the station. Really excited about that. They just sped down the street to a down power line, which everything's okay there, and I do anticipate some more calls like this throughout the night. So please be aware, there is going to be some bad weather, some flooding, and if y'all need anything, please let us know. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thanks, Chief.
Chief, I just also want to say his team was out when they had that unfortunate incident of the Kema Boardwalk employee. Chief and his team were out around the clock overnight. with League City, with the county. So thank you guys. I know that takes a lot, especially being out in the boat and whatnot. So thank you guys for taking that time.
Yes, thanks for that, and thanks Amanda for help sponsoring with all the media stuff. That's real important to us to get the volunteers. Next is City Administrator Brent Spear.
Good evening. Thanks for braving the weather. This is a name storm. It is Melda, and she's here probably for the next, I'd say, 2 days. Melda with an I, not an E. Yeah, Imelda. Just be aware, you know, we talk about this frequently about drainage, but with the high tides, we have, you know, storms pushing it up, bringing up the level. We got water trying to come down from Houston, and we're stuck in the middle. So, you know, we're going to probably experience some puddles and some flooding, but hopefully everyone's going to be safe, and we do have first responders that are available. So just make you aware of that. Also, like I said before, Clear Creek ISD was supposed to speak tonight, and they canceled all evening events, and based on the notification I got on my phone that they'll make a determination prior to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning whether school is going to proceed.
They have a 3 a.m. call tomorrow.
So now they got a 3 a.m. Okay.
Correct.
So they've
Which
moved
means they
that
have a
up,
3
and
a.m. call
they're
tomorrow.
moving their decision point, I guess, closer. So that's good. Roads and drainage, I know we have our committee reports, so I won't speak a lot, but Cobb Finley is working through a priority list, and I believe Richard Sauer will talk about that more, and identifying our priorities on that. Pools and parks, I'll skip over that tonight. On the EDC, our Clear Lake Road parking lot project continues on next Tuesday. This is part of that EDC meeting coming out next Tuesday, 24th. We'd hoped to do it today, but weather was not conducive to us. We will meet the city engineer, myself, and the contractor, and possibly a representative from Geotech at 8 a.m. on site, and be working on what is available for solutions, what kind of stabilization we have to do on the mud side because it's untouched, and they'll also do some coring of just some rudimentary coring, not full-blown, 6 feet deep stuff, but they're going to do some coring at the surface to identify what they need to do to stabilize that. So we're moving forward with that, but we have to wait for no rain and allow that to stabilize a little bit, so hopefully a few days. Also related to that, the water district had a leak out front on 2094, and just like it always seems to happen, you put something in new and you got to tear it right back out. But they had to tear out part of that approach on 2094 that was just put in and fix that water leak. So we'll be working with them to make sure it gets replaced just like it was put in. It has reinforcing bar in it, and we want to make sure that it's pinned appropriately and so it can carry the loads. So there is a pile of rubble up there, and that is from that repair. The lot right now, I did close it this morning in anticipation of excessive rain. I just didn't want to compound an issue with somebody maybe getting off of an edge and getting bogged down. So I erred just to try to avoid any major issues, and just went ahead and had that closed. On Plaza 10, we covered that. At City Hall, we're working toward making some improvements, and we'll be changing the alignment of the parking lot a little bit, so look out for that. On Clear Lake Road, you may have noticed that we have concrete planters that have been repositioned, I guess. We had several that were on the corner, and they were empty, and they were acting more like garbage cans than they were planters. So we've relocated those. We've tapped them into a sprinkler. We didn't plan very well for this rain, but they will get sprinkled when the sprinklers are operating. And we put some foliage in there that doesn't require a lot of maintenance. So you'll have some pretty flowers there lining the sidewalk next to the city lot adjacent to Oaks. So you can take a peek at that. Again, I'm working, trying to identify and anticipate some costs for fire marshal. I spoke with Chief Hahn today, and as the mayor mentioned, that the water district did not fund that fire marshal service, for the reasons specified. So we want to continue our fire marshal service. That's very important, and it's a consideration for our commercial entities, our residences, and our visitors. So, and it's an important thing. So we're working to get some options there. At the corner of Oak and North Shore, if you're out and about on your golf cart, you probably noticed a little activity up there. There's some caution tape, some fence posts, things like that. That is a collapsed storm sewer. We've straightened that out, and we're going to go ahead and put in a concrete inlet there. It's just it's a tight little radius. It gets some heavy truck traffic, and sometimes they get off the road. So we're going to put something there that hopefully is substantial enough to keep them from crunching it. And so we're working on that. Again, it's delayed due to the rain, but it is functioning, so it's opened up. I've been working with Galveston County Economic Development. We've got together one time, and we've been working remotely. And I'm working on a grant for Texas Parks and Wildlife. This is a boating grant, so it is. We're anticipating qualifying for funds so that we can replace the boat ramp at Shell Bottom and make some other improvements, including additional wing pier, replace the one that's there, put in a new one, add some additional pavement. I know that we have quotes for paving the whole thing, and I'm not a real fan of paving the whole thing because that pushes everything that's on that surface when it rains hard like this right out to the water. So we have an advantage allowing it to soak through that surface that's there now. But working on that, and part of the agenda as we go forward will include a resolution allowing us to move forward in that process. I will tell you that they're looking for shovel-ready projects. I'd say we're pretty much shovel-ready. We're also funded, we're available to be funded on our end. It's not a huge project. Anticipate it to be around about $150,000 or $160,000, and we pay out, and then we're reimbursed after that work is completed. And I think we have a good shot. I will be posting a 10-day public comment period, and that will be after I get the entire document ready to go, and I can get an electronic copy, and we can make that available at City Hall or possibly on the website. Might be easier. It's going to be large, but people can visit that. So I mentioned that so you can go in there and look at it. We've removed what I call the ambiguous signage from the Shell Bottom Park and East Shore area. There's an ordinance further in the agenda to address that. And just so you're aware, not to steal police department thunder, but we do have a date for the Grinch Parade, and that is in December. So we're looking at December 19th. Thursday, December 19th. We'll get that rolled out through our regular areas. The Grinch will be on island and setting up approximately 5 o'clock. Should be available about 5:30 for pictures over at Jarbo, and then by the time it turns dark, again it's December, so it gets darker a little earlier. By about 6:30, hopefully he can fire up and take a cruise around the island with the kids and stop back at the police department for cookies and cocoa. So look for more information from the police chief, but I think that got handled today. So that is all I have right now.
Brent, I have a question for you. Back to the, were you at the WCID meeting last night, or was anybody here at that meeting?
I was not at the meeting.
Okay, I just had or maybe Chief Hahn can help me. On the WCID budget, or on some budget, the amount that's budgeted for fire marshal services, or the amount that was spent on fire marshal services last year was $19.5 or something like that. But we're saying here that in eliminating the fire marshal service by defunding it, it's a savings of $125,000 a year. And I was just wondering what the discrepancy between the $19.5 that we did spend on fire marshal services and the $125 per year savings is.
I received the $125 as the potential savings based on vehicle, fringes, and wages.
So
and
I'll
fines.
answer that question, and I'll be frank. Yes, no?
There were no benefits for the fire
Right.
marshal. So what it was, we had 6 approved positions back from March of 2018. I did not fill any of the positions because of benefits and other things that went on, excuse me, with the water board and us now having to pay for fire trucks, which is fine. I didn't want to hire people and have to worry about the employment. Mr. Murray was brought on for full-time assistance in an approved position.
Mr. Murray, in approved position for what? For
The deputy fire marshal.
deputy fire, okay.
We had 6 open positions. Knocked it back to 3 because we were going to have to pay for fire trucks. Did not fill any of those positions. I needed his help with emergency management, fire marshal activities, and there's $25,000 in there, a salary for admin, which has been there since the start. As far as $125,000 savings, there's no benefits. He's an hourly wage, pays his own health insurance out of his pocket, and the vehicle and the gas that goes around between the vehicles. So the overage of that, his time is broken down in three places: emergency management, administration, and fire marshal activities. The bookkeeper had, because of his title, had put all the money into the fire marshal account. So we did get reimbursements for the barge incident and for Hurricane Harvey for the salaries that were for him. So it's approximately $19,000. That's how that overage came through. The water district, for some reason, last night decided to cancel the fire marshal services with both cities. I did not know that until today. That was done in executive session. And moving forward, they put it on both cities. I still offer our services to help whenever is there, but moving forward, I don't know exactly what the plan is.
So, it wasn't only fire marshal, it's emergency management, fire marshal, and admin. Those were the functions he was serving that will
Yes,
no
ma'am.
longer be available. So
Yes.
now it would be on a contract basis for Clear Lake Shores to have those?
Ma'am, I don't know.
Is that a thing? I mean, can you do contract fire marshal service, or is that, how do you get a fire marshal if you don't have a contract with one?
I've been the fire marshal here for the last 9-10 years. I was appointed through the city quite some time ago, and we've never worried about the contracts or whatever. We've just done fire marshal services for the city because it benefits the entire district. Public safety is number one, and then keeping our businesses and our school. We had a big safety improvement to our school, and to have all the stuff that goes on in not only Clear Lake Shores but as well as Kima, to keep the entire public safe, try to get a better ISO rating. So that's what we've done. And worrying about contract has never been on my level. We've just done it before. Now, Kima a while back did contract with a private fire inspector that did inspections, but they appointed me as arson investigator then, and then we just started doing fire marshal activities back then. So
Okay.
I don't know the answer to everything here.
I understand.
News to me, but we're not going to stop offering fire marshal services to Clear Lake Shores. If y'all need help, we certainly offer help. But I'm hoping that the mayors and the cities can come together for the best result.
Okay, so what I just heard is that Clear Lake Shores will not be without fire marshal service because we're able to contract, or we're able to secure fire marshal services from somebody. Is that?
This is late breaking news.
Okay.
It's very active. He's on till the end of the month.
Okay.
And then we will work towards a contract. Brent is working towards a contract to contract the marshal service.
Understand.
Okay, so
Hopefully it was with Brent, but
So I just want to make sure I've connected all the dots right. When you said the city appointed you, that was Kima City that appointed you, or did Clear Lake Shores appoint you?
Somewhere, I believe Clear Lake Shores appointed me as their fire
Okay.
marshal.
I
It's
just-
so far back.
just
Yeah,
trying to-
and Kima as well.
Okay.
yes.
To have a charter, you have to have a fire marshal.
Sure.
And did it before, and there's been a change in the opinion of the water board that they no longer want to contract or provide the fire marshal services to either city.
Okay.
And for the certifications of the annual businesses reviews, we'll be doing a fee structure for that.
And Kurt, you said Clear Lake Shores is gonna look at continuing something. My concern, my
You
bottom
have
line, my
to,
concern,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have to have
Okay, that's my
fire
concern.
That's
Okay.
Brent's taking care of all that.
Yeah, my goal is not to have any discontinuation of service.
That's my concern. Okay.
Okay, I have a question. So, fire chief, I'd like for everyone to understand, because I'm new on the ESB and I'm not sure how it rolls out. So, fire chief, you, right? And then fire marshal, you, okay? Then the assistant, which is Joe, is that right?
Joe's the deputy,
Deputy.
fire
Deputy.
marshal. Yes, ma'am.
The deputy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so then you were talking about the admin, the fire marshal. How does that work towards each, yes, the emergency management between you and the deputy in each one of those categories is what I'm trying to ask.
The admin of the department, so he helps with payroll. He's done a lot of work with our new software programs,
Yeah.
IT stuff, so just basic fire department administrative activities. The emergency management is preparation, going through our plans, actual activations of EOCs, and activation of our EOC. The fire marshal was bringing things up to annual inspections. A lot of work was done with the schools. A lot of work was done in KEMA as well. The plans review for new businesses that come in. He's been doing that. Both he and I have been doing that as well.
So what Angie was talking about, the fire marshal portion that she's talking about, was it split between, I'm sorry. No, that's all right. Was it split between you and the deputy, or I'm confused about how.
No, ma'am, either he or I would do it. I mean, he took the
It's one or the
initiative
other, and then
yeah,
in the
yes,
budget.
ma'am. Under me, he works under me, and we
Okay.
had those positions that were open that were never filled. So up until October 1st,
Yeah.
we brought him on with full-time hours. I mean, he's the one that worked on worked on our assessments, that did our Watergate assessment, that did the water tap fees, just things that if it took me, it would take a long time out of my day, out of my week to do. He's basically the right arm as far as the department, records management, open records request, and like I said, he's done a whole lot with our new software program, which is just, can't brag enough about that program or what he's done.
And so because of this, Joe is no longer with us.
No, ma'am,
No.
I don't
That's what
know
we're
that.
not-
No,
Okay,
I
that's
think
what
there's
we're
a
not
lot
sure.
more to
Okay.
it, and I think the
Yeah. Understand.
the two members, the liaisons to the ESB, can go find out
Right,
and report
right.
back
Yeah,
to
I
council
don't-
and not put so much on Chief Hahn here.
I don't know that
I didn't mean
answer.
to
I
put you on the spot.
No, ma'am.
I was really just didn't understand.
No,
I just wanna make sure we're
and
covered.
and
Yeah.
again, I want to reassure, you will not be without fire marshal services,
Thank
period.
you.
Public safety, you wanna argue it all day, you're gonna lose it with me, because I can't sit here and tell you guys it's not gonna happen. It will happen. And if it's not me, it'll be a smooth transition, but I will be a very strong part of that, because that's keeping the public safe and our firefighters safe. So, I hope I answered as best as I
Thank you.
could.
Yeah, you
Chief,
did. Thank you.
appreciate
you.
it. Do you have anything else for city
I'm
administrators?
sorry, Brent, I have one more. I'm sorry. You're gonna hang me. And this is an agenda item, so I don't know if you wanna talk about this later, but you were saying that city legal is working on correcting the 2023 waterfront lease to match the ordinance, so we were going to take that upon ourselves as a waterfront committee or as a ad hoc committee or whatever, so we do not have to worry about that now?
Yeah, I put that on city legal.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
I put that on city legal because, the next, one of the agenda items upcoming, you'll see why. But, this is a carryover from the HOA days, I'm sure, and the way that lease is written, was written for an HOA to transfer it to property owners, and we're a different animal now. We're a city, and so we're kind of dealing with an age document. It needs to be updated, and the problem with it is that it only gets a review about every 10 years. So, you know, at the end of that term. And so there's a changeover in council, there's a changeover in administration, you know, different people on those boards, they have different ideas. So I figured it made more sense to include city legal to tie that all up together.
No, I'm extremely pleased by that. When I saw all the challenges with that lease, thinking that some of us could fix it was overwhelming, so thank you.
And just to add to that, it won't work just by itself. The ad hoc committee and finding out some more information, MuniCode, who handles our ordinances, we will be reaching out to them to codify our ordinances. They have not been sent to them since 2016, end of 2016. So they owe us. All those have been kept on the website. We're sending those over there. That they have to bring together all of our ordinances together. They assign a lawyer and a third person to help put that all together as part of their business. And then we're going to be working with the 4 people on the ad hoc committee to see what changes need to be made.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen.
And I'll add that city legal won't have this turned around in a year.
Oh, sure.
They've got, I told them that 2023 is our benchmark, and we want to have it 6-8 months before that time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 6, committee reports, Parks and Pool Committee. Got a microphone, please?
We did have a committee meeting on September 9th. We discussed several items and tabled the several because Brent was not able to make our meeting. We discussed and had the new members that were approved by City Council. We have 2 new members, Pam House and Melissa Stelfer, and Pam House actually volunteered to be our secretary. So we're thankful for that. We did go over the budget as pertains to our committee. Angie Terrell was there, our liaison, so she was very helpful, and we were able to go over the budget. Let's see. No issues with the parks. We discussed our flip-flop project for a little bit, but we tabled any solution as the maintenance for that. And we did get confirmation and discussed with Angie too that Earthworks will be taking over the landscaping at Lowell Bram Park and Jean Marie, known as Triangle Park. So that relieves our committee from dealing with that landscaping. And we did discuss the Christmas decorations, and we requested $2,000 of funding to replace Christmas decorations. We did not get any money last year. A lot of decorations are in very poor shape. And except for the donation from Civic Club to buy us some lights, we need to replace quite a bit of the Christmas decorations. Dinah Chronister is in charge of that, and she is here tonight. If she could discuss our decorations and even give you more reason why we need to purchase Christmas decorations. A couple of items I believe we tabled, and I think that was it.
Okay, I'm Diana Chronister. I've been doing the Christmas decorations for, I don't know, 15 years or longer. I don't know. Anyway, we've gotten a couple $100 a year, and all that pays for is the bow material. We tie the bows ourselves. We do all the work. We have to replace the lights every now and then. And we're deciding, since the ornaments are in pretty bad shape, I had to glitter them all in my garage last year, and there's still glitter all over the place, and they're all faded and shattered. And so we'd like to get new Christmas decorations, and we'd like to go with a coastal theme, like a blues and greens and teals and white lights. And we'd like to do some jellyfish. It's kind of like this, but they won't be glass. We're going to get creative, and get these pumpkins from Hobby Lobby and drill a hole in them and do lights and bead them. And we're going to ask for, on the Facebook page, we're going to ask for Marty Bark Mardi Gras bead donations to stream from the bottom, like this. Y'all wanna look at it? Y'all wanna look at these? They're not gonna be clear like this, but that's the kinda idea. Kind of do some of those on the tree, along with, these colors. Y'all wanna, I'll just walk by, yeah, you've seen it. And so these ornaments, the round ones that are going to go on the tree, we need the UV, we need the shatterproof, the commercial. They are not cheap, and so even the 2,000 will pay probably for that, and a few lights. We were going to do maybe blue along the clubhouse. We're going to keep all the white lights we already have for the bridge, and white lights everywhere else. The multicolored lights that we have, we just have a few strands of those. Those could go inside here somewhere, and we'd like to do a couple of wreaths, so if the 2,000 doesn't cover everything, we might be able to get a little donation from the Civic Club for the clubhouse stuff, like the outside of the clubhouse. Or we may have to go to Facebook and start begging, but 2,000 would really help us, you know, get going, and we'd like to get those pumpkins as soon as possible, because they're going to run out of those in the next 2 or 3 weeks, probably, at Hobby Lobby. And Teresa and I were going to go on a road trip into Houston to try to find some ornaments, so... Anyway, I think that's all I have.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, and I think there's a place up in Houston that does commercial sales for holiday lights.
It's right here. Your jellyfish is right there.
All right, anybody here for Waterfront Compliance Committee? I did hear that they did submit the compliance issues to Kevin last Monday, so city's working those. Planning and Zoning Commission?
No reports since last meeting on August 26th.
Thank you, Mr. Michalski. All right, Zoning Board of Adjustments, same. Thank you. And Roads and Drainage, Richard Sowery.
Well, I have to follow up on the Meet the Mayors meeting. That was a terrific meeting for us to get a lot of good information. In fact, I had recorded most of that meeting, and I did a transcript. And so I recorded about 15 different items that are both good for longer-term stuff for the contractors and the engineers, as well as things we can do on a regular basis, you know, like the reflectors and cleaning up some of the ditches that some people had some concerns over. We sat down with Brent and went over the priorities, see how we can go about doing it. I have a list here if anybody wants to talk about it afterwards. Also, we're trying to set up a meeting in October, the first part of October, to try to sit down with the engineer to go over the cores and the potential work that we might do on the 3 or 4 high priority roads that we've selected. I had a meeting after the meeting with EDC with the engineer, and he said as a result of the work that they're doing out on the parking lot, he's no longer going to recommend doing an overlay. He said we're going to have to do full base recovery, so that's going to limit the number of roads that we may be able to do in the 2019-2020 project cycle.
Richard, those 15 items that you identified during Coffee with Kurt, are those the items that you prioritized, and we can look at your list after, or what
Sure.
items did you prioritize?
Yeah, I've got the list
what were
right
like
here.
the top 5 that you identified as our biggies?
You want to hear them now?
Yeah, I'd love to.
First of all, we have been talking with Badger. It's a company that's blowing out or actually hydroblasting culverts along a lot of our earlier roads that we could do with the FEMA money we had. Excuse me, we've run out of that money, so we have about $25,000 I think we've set aside for doing projects like that. And I've contacted Badger to get an estimate for doing Queen on the east side to see if we can alleviate some of the flooding problems along there. And it's about $2,700 to do that side, and we'll have to get together with Brent. Brent says we have money to do it, and I'll be I'll be, what do you call it, bird dogging it. They came up at the meeting, that was the, anyway. And then Cliff Leonard over on 710 Narcissus had an issue. I went over and took a look at it. I shared the photographs with Brent. And it looks like we may be able to clear up his problem when we do Narcissus, which most likely will be one of the roads we'll do. And by increasing the size of the drain and the design of the drain. We had 1111 Juniper, which is Rich Birchfield's house, that he's had some concerns over the juniper work that we did and sculpturing the ditches or the swales that lead the water from the center of his property to a couple of drains on each side. And I think we should go back and try to rework that piece. I think we talked about the grates on, I guess it was, I think it's pine.
It was oak, I think.
Oak, there's one on oak as well.
Oh, okay, and pine,
there's a couple of them. In addition, there ought to be a grate on that item 3040 that you were talking about. Okay. I walked the whole road down, and I looked at the ditches and stuff, and I talked the possibility of doing that west side ditch with Badger. And when Badger comes out to talk to me about Queen, I'm going to go take him over to Oak and see if we can't clear up that 304 issue. But I just think it's blocked in, and I think the first thing to do is just to try to clear out the ditches and see if it'll drain. But it looks like that drain on 304 is pretty low, and I don't know the way we can clear it or not without having to redo the whole structure.
Great.
So we have other ones. Let's go through some more.
That's great. That's I'll get with you after to get the rest of them. I just wanted to, and I love that your priorities are our residents and their issues. I know that there's the big picture too in our drainage and all of that, but I love that you've done that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Richard. Thank you, Richard. All right. Item number 7, Civic Club.
Okay, I want to start by thanking...
Microphone, please.
Okay, need to thank Juju Allen for hosting the back-to-school party. I don't think there was a huge turnout, but it had been rained out, so it was a different date, so that made a big difference. We have Back to Blue this weekend. It's not technically a Civic Club event, but we're helping out some. National Night Out on October 1st. Oktoberfest is on October 12th, and then Mark shortchanged himself because on October 26th we have the barbecue cook-off that he heads up. So there's been information in the Islander. There'll be more information in next month's Islander, so check that out. And then the Halloween party will be on the 31st. It's going to be a little different this year. It's going to be here in the clubhouse earlier, like it used to be years ago. Kids can come by before they head out to the street. So Christy's got a team of a couple ladies and maybe some men, I don't know, but that are going to be heading that up, and that'll all be in the Islander. So that's all we have.
Thank you, Teresa. Anybody want to report on the Economic Development Corporation? All right. Item number 9, public comments. Use the microphone, please.
My only comment is to thank the City Council and the Mayor and the administrative staff for going through the ordinance with me related to waterfront and the lease. And I would be very interested in participating in some way if there's anything I could do with a committee or something regarding the waterfront lease or ordinances, since now I have a lot of experience looking at that. Thank you.
Can you state your name and
Yes,
address, please?
I'm Leslie Lundquist, and my address is 730 Oak Road.
Thank you, Leslie. All right, item number 10, new business, consent agenda, items A and B.
I make a motion to approve consent agenda item A.
I have a motion for item A, Angie Terrell.
I'll second it.
Christie, second. All in favor? Pass unanimously. Alright, item B. Motion
I'm not sure what motion I wanna make.
to
How do you
discuss.
Okay, make a motion to discuss, consent agenda item B.
I'll second that.
On the meeting minutes from the city council meeting on Tuesday, September 3rd, under the, titled present, we have Captain Phil Gist listed, and we should have, Chief Cook listed on there. And we also don't have, Angie Terrell listed, and I was there. In addition, under staff reports, item 4, Captain Gist was listed for giving the staff reports, and that was Chief Cook. And that's all I have.
I'll make a motion to approve with, those corrections.
A second?
Alright, so Amanda made a motion and Angie second. All in favor? Unanimous. Alright, item number 11. Council business discussion and possible action may be taken on the following items. Item A, action from public hearing 702 Oak Road junk boat. And that is about the junk boat that's at Oak Road and violating the city ordinance. I don't know if
So,
Kevin, you have anything else to talk about it other than it's not registered and there's
I'll
pictures
I'll
here.
answer any questions about the boat. Yes, Mayor, the boat has not been registered for some time. When I say some time, it's years. It has been in its place for as long as I've been here, which is about a little over 3 years. It needs to go.
My question, Kevin, is, it's been here for the 10 or 15 years that I can remember too, but why now? What's happened? Is there anything changed? What's different?
I received a complaint about it,
Okay.
and I addressed it.
Okay.
No one has complained about it since I've been here, but I did receive a complaint, and I have to proactively chase it.
so is this, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, just make sure. So, you're asking the city to have it towed off, and then we bill the homeowner, I guess? Or,
Well, that action is up to council to decide.
okay,
Mr. Beauchamp did come to my office and requested a public hearing. 2 days after he received the letter, I did inform him that he has 10 days to correct said violation. He wanted to jump straight to a public hearing, and I said that he would be notified after the 11th day if nothing was done. He said, fine, I'll be there, I'll bring my lawyer. Apparently he's not concerned about it, otherwise he would be here this evening. I could tell you a little bit about the boat. It's on a cradle. The cradle is in bad shape. The boat itself is inoperable. The motor is non-functioning. The police have had issues with the tenants in the home, not necessarily Mr. Beauchamp, but the other tenants. My fear is that he will try and convert it to living quarters. There has been a power cord going to it. I myself did not climb into the boat for fear of safety issues. That said cord has been removed, but nothing else has been done to the boat.
Kevin, when he was in your office, did he express any, or did he justify the boat at all?
No, he did not. He was very insistent to the point that a Chief Assistant Donaldson had to step in and calm the situation or calm him down. I told him the definitions of a junk vehicle and what will be necessary to correct said violation. Told him it would have to be registered with the state. It'd have to be in operable condition. He basically argued with me and said that it was registered with the federal government. But told him, well, that's here nor there, but it's not with the state. And state statutes has certain requirements. He initially kept arguing with me and kept demanding a public hearing that day.
And to your knowledge, there's nothing with a federal registered boat that would trump the state requirements that we have as our junked vehicle ordinance and definition?
No, boat registration is left up to each state.
Well, it could be documented, right? Federally
Yes, it could be documented.
Is it, do you know if it is documented?
I could not find any markings on the boat to do any kind of investigation. Like I said before, I was not going to climb into the boat.
Right.
But there is no markings on the boat, on the outside of the boat whatsoever.
Is it named on the back?
Yes, it is. And I did have the police do a research on it, and what they came up with was the Beauchamp was the owner.
And I'm not micromanaging, I'm just making sure that we gave all the proper notification, documentation, complied with the dates and the times and everything
We did.
to come here tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So I need a motion on item A.
I'll motion to take action from public hearing 702 Oak Road junk boat.
What's your action?
I know that, well, that's why I made the motion so we can discuss, because I don't know what the action will be.
Motion to discuss.
Yeah, motion to discuss, item A.
Okay. Have a second?
I'll second.
Discuss.
I mean, obviously, it violates the junked vehicle ordinance. My only hang-up with it, I mean, it's been there for, 15 years.
From my records and my pictures, it's been there since after Ike.
Can you explain the steps that you would take?
Of course.
Okay.
Upon action taken by council, if they vote to tow it away, it will be towed to a salvage yard where it will sit for 30 days. Mr. Beauchamp will have a opportunity to pay the towing fee and any storage fees that the salvage yard may hold. And then, of course, he would have to register it if he planned to bring it back to Clear Lake Shores.
With the state, correct?
Yes, with the state. If he does not do something within that 30 days, the salvage yard will cut it up. During this process, I will send notification to DPS, and they will remove it off of their register as a vehicle.
And so Clear Lake Shores is responsible to pay the towing in the salvage yard if he would not go within that 30 days and pay those things to get it out of Hawk or whatever you say.
No, Clear Lake Shores does not pay for towing. They will come and tow it for free, and they will store it for free.
Okay.
Then, if after that 30 days, Mr. Beauchamp does not come and pay those towing fees and storage fees, then the salvage company will reclaim their money from the salvage of the boat.
Oh, that's how they get it. Okay. Okay.
So my question is, and when you were looking at it, is it a danger, do you think, to children, or, is it?
He did have a ladder next to it, and any neighborhood children could climb into it and get hurt. I would consider it a danger. The cradle itself is not in good condition. It is rusty and not a safe environment.
But here's the thing, guys. Someone made a complaint on this, and it does violate our junked vehicle ordinance. So to not take some kind of action, I don't think is responsible. So, I don't see how we can not take action on it. Mark? Okay, I make a motion that we have the vehicle at 702, or the junked boat at 702 Oak Road towed to the salvage yard.
I'll second it.
Angie Terrell made a motion, Chrissy Lyons second for set the boat at 702 Oak Road to be towed away. All in favor? Unanimous. item B, final review of the fiscal year 20 city budget, including all other funds within the city. In the packet, there was, hopefully it got up, everybody will be able to print it out, that had all the, budgets that we have reviewed.
Mayor, sorry to interrupt. I was speaking with the city administrator. I didn't see what the council voted.
We voted that.
To have it towed.
Okay, thank you.
Is this our opportunity to discuss the budget?
Yes.
So I have a question on the capital equipment fund. There's a purchase in here for a new Tahoe. So will we be retiring one, and how does that work again? That goes to an auction?
The 2013 Tahoe has almost 120,000 miles on it. That will be the one that we will sell. I think we can get decent enough money for it because it doesn't have 150,000 miles on it. So yeah, it's time for it to go. It's gonna nickel and dime us.
So this new one would go back into the rotation, our police officer rotation, or does it go?
It goes into rotation.
Okay.
And what is the rotation? I mean,
The new one goes to the chief. The chiefs go to the assistant chief. The assistant chiefs goes to the captain. The captain goes to a supervisor unit, and it goes down from there all the way through the patrol line. We get the best bang for our buck, I think, that way. They come out looking good. They last longer, not tore up. We put a brand new one on the patrol line. It wouldn't last for a couple of years. You know, prisoners, they don't do very well in the back seat. They use car. That's the best way to do it. Try to get at least several years out of it.
I also have some questions regarding the budget.
Go for it.
So I'm wondering about the EDC Corporation portion of the budget. We didn't discuss, I guess I'm looking at numbers that I haven't seen before, and I was not able to attend the EDC meeting on Tuesday, and I have lots of questions. Some of the line items are not, don't have explanations, and budget jumped up quite a bit, and I'd like a lot of information or more information on the questions that I have about each of these line items.
Ask.
What? Okay.
Ask.
Who am I asking? Oh, all right.
Ask me.
Line item 926546, other contractual services for $45,000. What is that?
That's going to be, all this was discussed at EDC, and they approved
Right,
it, and they knew that they needed to add more to cover additional engineering projects into the future. If they're going to be doing projects, and we're going to be doing, you know, subsurface work, the park
Specifically where? What projects are you?
historically, that they use about $35,000 a year to run their projects on their engineering side for their contracts. And they also use money for doing, on the contractual side, for studies. So like if they would hire a consultant to design a logo, for instance, to work on their logo.
One of the big ones is the right-of-way for Drawer Road.
Okay.
And
All that has
okay.
to go through engineering services, so it's not to say that they're gonna spend that, but that's what they're budgeting.
Okay.
And then we'll have to amend the budget if they don't use it.
And it is inflated because Drawer Avenue project with Pima, Galveston County, as you go down there, that 926595 number count, it says 350,000. Originally that was at 400,000.
Right.
So 350 and 45. This is where it's all kind of coming to roost now. This is the payout year. We've been planning for it, and the project hasn't materialized. We're at 30% completion on the engineering report. I had a meeting this past week with that. The other infrastructure improvements under that same line item.
Right.
If you go down under explanations, it is part of that Shell Bottom Texas Park and Wildlife grant, using the EDC to fund that mechanism, but then it'll be reimbursed. So it would be 152,000 out, you have to show that. And one other thing they wanted to add, and was fans at Jarbo. Evidently people are sweating to the oldies when they're at the concerts.
Right.
And so, they wanted to provide some relief and keep people from falling over and all of that. So, they've received some quotes, and we would work forward based on an approved budget to get those. And we attempted, in looking at this budget and discussing things, trying to save money. And through the discussion, what we found is that when we try to save money, we end up causing us to spend more. And this is fresh on the discussions about the parking lot. We tried to do a parking lot. It was prior to me, and I would have gone along with it because you don't want to put a lot of money into a parking lot. You're parking cars there. And so we tried to do a parking lot inexpensively with what we had, and the engineers worked to fulfill our request, and we have a lot of input into that, and people with opinions, and it was kind of decided that we need to pay the money to get the professional opinion and allow them to do their job. So that is part of that. With the fans in particular, as I started this off, we can buy them for $12,000, and we can do turnkey approach. Somebody comes in, sets them up, plugs them in, makes sure they work, tells us you're ready to go, here's your warranty, and that's $15,000. So it's worth it to spend the extra money to do that.
And plus, they're warranted for 10 years when you go with turnkey.
Yeah.
And I think not only these fans in particular, or this parking lot in particular, but what I heard from that EDC meeting is that Clear Lake Shores has always been cheap, and we've said this is what we need to do. How can we do this for the cheapest amount of money? And we don't ask for the people that we're paying to do these things, our engineers, we don't ask their opinion. We tell them what we're doing, and we tell them how much money we are going to spend, and then it gets all messed up because we're not engineers. So what they're talking about is well, you're a rocket scientist, but what they're talking about is a shift in how Clear Lake Shores is doing things. We would like to do things right the first time, so we don't have to go back and fix it. Richard. Oh no, but Roads and Drainage does it right the first time because they learned the hard way, like we have with the parking lot. So thank you for correcting me. And we should have seen that before and learned from that, but now we did.
And the reason why they're two different line items is just so I could break it out and do the explanations for it. As you go down, that 926595E says Clear Lake Road public parking. There's been money added into that to allow for remediation of that site and so we can get a functioning parking lot. So it's added in there, and it's already a project, so it has an identifier of E, and we're actively doing that. And Drawer Avenue may get, if that pops up, then that might become F. But right now we haven't started pulling out of that.
And the travel and training, there's two people on the board have to have their training.
Yes.
And they're up for that. And then also for the concert series, they bumped that up because of needing security.
And we have a remaining balance on the on the grant from True North Marine, and there's some estimations there based on projected sales in the next year for sales tax rebates.
And that may be amended because right now that budget's in this fiscal year, and it may roll if they don't expend it this year.
Still have another question. Sorry.
No.
So I'm going to go ahead and bring this up now. I know it's on the agenda further down, and just talking about the boating access grant and looking at it, and I don't know enough information I don't know, in the agreement it says facility. I don't even know. I mean, I know you kind of highlighted a little bit of stuff, but we really don't have any information about what is going to be proposed, what it's going to look like.
You're talking about the resolution?
Yes, because the grant is in the budget. So I wanted to look at the budget first before getting to that, because some of the wording talks about a facility. It also says the city of Clear Lake Shores, whereas it's EDC money, it looks like. And there's a whole lot of other questions I have about the grant, just regarding long-term
First
things.
off, the resolution is a requisite to apply for the grant. It is a cookie cutter, all-inclusive, provided document. We fill in the blanks, and I added one sentence at the bottom because the mayor is signing on that line saying that he would administrate that thing and be responsible for it. And so I added a line that says city administrator, because I anticipate having a city administrator over the course of the years that you're responsible for reporting and maintaining that asset. But that's why it talks about structures and so forth. As part of and this has to go in with the packet to submit to them for the grant approval. So this is part of this is the horse before the cart.
Well, the number came up from somewhere. That's why I'm asking. There's a number
And
there.
the number, the number came from soliciting numerous quotes on possible proposed work as a flyover ballpark number. We forced a number for engineering. I did this with Galveston County, also with their economic development, because they have experience with not necessarily this grant, but other grants, so they know based on how much money you're going to spend. And we're limited on how much money that we would spend, how much money you can put into professional engineering. So there's a percentage that you use for that number. All of that is part of the application. There's also overhead views of a proposed design. However, it's not a finished design or a rendering like you would have, say, for town center. And the reason why we don't have that is because that's a $4,000 expense for something that we may or may not qualify for. So we tried to do things to the letter of what they need and provide what they need in conjunction with working with Dane Carlson and Tyler at Galveston County, and we're working through this and hopefully can provide it. But we need to have it submitted by October 1st, and then they will have until March to make any determinations as to an award. And we sit in probably a pretty good one of the things that you have to have is you have to have your funding available. And so this is blocking space, much like we did with personnel, I guess, last year for fire. This is blocking space in the budget. We're accounting for these anticipated costs, and we can prove to them that, yes, we have the financing in place.
And my concern is I don't know how to vote on a budget item that I have nothing in front of me, that I know what the proposal is going to look like, how it's going to work, and what the long-term feasibility of who's writing the grant, how much are they going to charge with writing. I just need more detail here than saying, yeah,
I'm writing the grant, you're already paying me, and I'm working with Galveston County, who's doing that as a service to our community.
Right, and at a previous council meeting, I'm not sure that you were at, but we discussed about, he brought up it was gonna be 2 piers, and then redoing the boat ramp, and then paving the concrete, so all those things add up to this amount here, so that was discussed previously. And then that's what we're moving forward with.
I remember the discussion, but it wasn't.
Members of the boat ramp committee went out and got somebody to come out and look at that, what Mike Pons did,
They
to be
assisted
specific.
the city in getting numbers of 2 or 3 different quotes so we can move forward with going with the grant.
And making it by October 1.
We previously voted to move forward with the grant. Now he's bringing the grant application back to us so he can go do it.
Yeah, this is all little pieces of that big grant application, and then the final thing is to get, like I said, an electronic copy and get it posted. Probably, I don't want to have a printed document of 78 pages and all that, but do an electronic copy and offer it for public input on the website. And so people can offer commentary, and if they don't, then I can also show, Parks and Wildlife that it was posted, show them a link or a screenshot of that, and that we didn't receive any
Galveston County is grant writer is assisting you
Yes.
in writing this.
Okay.
Yeah, they're with the economic
That's part of
development.
what they do
Yes.
as the county
And
EDC.
so we're utilizing them to help work this through, and it's a big deal. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there.
Yes,
The
yes.
packet you gotta fill out is
Well, and grant
pretty
writing is
overwhelming.
That's what I
very
do.
specific
Yes.
too.
When I had the grant handed to me from the committee, it was one page, and this is, we got these quotes, and this is the page of the costs, and we can fill this in and we can send it off.
Yep.
It sounded awesome, but the reality is that there's about 62 other pages of stuff that you have to answer, so, and make promises for. One of the things that we're signing up for as part of this grant is that this is gonna be a public asset. It's gonna be available to the public, and it's gonna be that way for the next, I think it's 20 years, so, and we're gonna maintain it. So we should get longevity out of that.
I'm absolutely for the grant, I just wanted more details, that's all. And I would appreciate being, updated as we go along,
Fine.
whenever it's turned in or whatever. So thank you.
And I think the mayor touched on the travel and training, that jumped up based on what we've used so far this year. I think this year, as far as travel and training, there've been some dinners and things that they've attended locally. But Mike Pons went with me or we went separately to the Economic Development Conference in Bastrop, and so that's one trip. The people that are on that, there are two people on that committee that need to have public finance training, and if it's your first foray, prepare for 2 days of boredom and about 26 minutes of really good information at the very end when they give you the summary. And if you're just renewing, then you can do like a half day.
Well, we might have some new EDC members as well that might need additional training.
Sure.
Right.
So that's why that number's higher. But it is a big jump from where we're estimating now to there.
Yes.
Any further review items for item B?
Nope.
All right, no action on this item is required. Item C, action from public hearing, adoption of the fiscal year 20 budget.
On this, okay.
No,
Action from the public hearing on the adoption of fiscal year 20 budget. There is an item that's missing. We need to have an ordinance, and that ordinance was not prepared in time. It was an oversight, and it wasn't included in the packet and wasn't on the agenda. However, the adoption is. So, my recommendation, unfortunately, is to have a special meeting, possibly next, say Tuesday at 4 o'clock, if that works. We need a quorum of 3 to pass that. There's no other additional changes to the budget. Everything is correct, but it needs to be adopted as an ordinance, and it's a single-page document, and I was unaware of that. So, if we can reschedule that for a special meeting with your approval, and we will do that, and then that budget can be adopted.
So do we need to adopt it for this one item here? For a public hearing to be good?
I think you just need.
Yes. Approve the
You
budget.
can approve the budget, but you need to, approval and adoption are two different things.
Right.
So, you can approve it.
So we need to approve the budget here, and then we'll adopt the ordinance at the next meeting, Tuesday.
Yeah, if that works, Tuesday at 4, then
Does that work for everybody?
If I get 3 council people.
I can come.
I can't be there, sorry.
Mark?
Who can be there?
I can be there.
All right, Jan?
I need to check my calendar.
Huh?
I don't have my calendar.
Oh,
But you have a quorum.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, you have 3.
So you have
Oh, wait,
3.
next
Yeah.
Tuesday?
yes,
I'll just make Pat do, yeah, I'll be there.
okay,
I'll make Pat
thank you.
do the,
My intent's to have it be about a minute-and-a-half meeting, so we'll have it, and that'll be in the conference room, City
All right.
Hall, if anyone's interested in showing up.
So I need a motion from item C.
Make a motion to approve the fiscal year
I'll make it work.
20 budget.
motion from Angie,
I'll second it.
Christie Lyons second, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
All right, item D.
Thank you and Cheryl for all your work on the budget
Yeah,
as well.
that was a lot of work, thank you.
Item D is, rescind revocation of the waterfront lease B-017 and B-027B due to non-payment. Brent?
Yeah, this is an interesting, thing. I alluded to it earlier, and we talked about it another time along the course of this meeting. But, there was action taken for the rescission, or excuse me, for the revocation of waterfront lease B-017 and B-027B for non-payment. And there is a discrepancy between the lease that is signed, and the last ones were signed in 2013, and the ordinance. And the ordinance that changed some things according to that lease was passed in 2014. So you can't change a lease open-endedly like that. There is a caveat in the lease for an adjustment in the rates. That doesn't allow you to adjust those terms in those. So that was reviewed by city legal. Ms. Lundquist did provide, I talked to her, I can't remember, just pretty much immediately. I think she was in Seattle or something. And the next day she was at my office, and we met and talked. And then she went and contacted her legal counsel and reviewed it all with them and submitted their request. That was forwarded to our city legal. They agreed that this should be rescinded because of the discrepancies in that. And that's what really got the ball rolling for them to review releases to prevent this in the future. So would recommend rescission of that revocation on those two leases for non-payment. She's also submitted her payment and other documents. They were forwarded to us overnight, and I've had that on my desk, but I haven't cashed it yet, awaiting the approval or the rescission of this, and then she'll be issued a receipt for her payment.
I'll make a motion to rescind revocation of waterfront lease B-17 and B-27B.
Second. I have a question. We as a city, is there anything going forward we need to do until 2023 comes? Is there anything we need to do to adjust ourselves so something like this doesn't happen again, or is it just an isolated incident?
Well, you're going to have we would have to extend the waiting time before taking action. So that could be handled very easily by tabling for 30 days. And then
I don't think council can remember to do that. Something within the city, you should be able to do that. So what can you do to get that done?
Yeah, we'll make sure that we don't act too promptly against our ordinance.
Right.
That would cause this problem.
We make a note
We
of
need to
it.
drag our feet a little longer before this gets resolved.
Make a note of it in your Outlook calendar for next year and the next 3 years.
My AI list. So.
All right.
Okay, great, thank you.
All in favor? Unanimous. All right, item E, adoption of the fiscal year 20 fee schedule.
On this fee schedule, it didn't convert right out of PDF. It only came out with one page. There's been no changes to that fee schedule beyond the June 2019 changes where we adjusted for building plans. If you remember right, the state law required we couldn't value permits based on cost of residences. So the only thing that changed on this would be the date at the top of the sheet. We can table that so you can see the other pages, or you can approve it. I would recommend approval. There's no other changes other than the date at the top.
Yeah, we just went through it a couple months ago that had the building changes to it and everything else was fine. The waterfront leases will push off until February, March.
And so I just have a quick question, because it's gonna come up, and it comes up every year. The pool fees are gonna include Lazy Bend as a residence, correct?
Well, yeah, that's part of that agreement, and I'm not changing anything on that agreement for the membership packet.
And I triple checked, the rates did not change.
Okay.
And does it need to state that on the fee schedule, that Lazy
That-
Ben are treated residents?
It's part of the membership packet on the first page. I think that's
Okay.
covered, that's the actual contractual
Can we-
document.
Can we add it to this fee schedule? Cause if somebody gets hold of it
And doesn't have a copy of the.
Right.
and doesn't have a
point.
copy
Yeah,
of the
agreement.
thing,
Good point.
it'll say Lazy Ben is included as residents for Clear Lake Shores pool.
Well, it's bigger than Lazy Ben, but, 'cause it also includes ETJ, so you could have somebody living in, I think we've had previously a family on Lawrence Road that, utilized the pool membership.
So it's ETJ and Lazy Ben
And Lazy
residents.
Ben.
We can add that to the fee schedule as just an asterisk.
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you. I don't want this coming up anymore.
Alright, so someone needs to make a motion with that
Make a
change.
motion, we'll, adopt the 2019-2020 fee schedule with the change noted by, Councilwoman Lyons to include ETJ and Lazy Bend on the pool fee schedule.
I'll second that.
Angie Terrell made a motion, Jan Bailey second. All in favor? Unanimous? Alright, item F is to dissolve the Town Center Review Board. I've been looking at all the committees and we have several positions coming up and Christie's been gracefully looking at when those dates are and we should have that coming up on another meeting. But this one here, the Town Center Review Board hasn't been used in over 3 years. Some are no longer here, and they don't even know that they're on a committee anymore, so I would like to dissolve that committee.
I'll make a motion to dissolve the committee.
Chris,
A second.
I didn't even know we had it.
Christie and I make a motion, Angie Terrell second, all in favor? Unanimous? Alright, item G, ordinance 2019-08, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Clear Lake Shores, Texas by adding section 78-102, no parking right-of-way adjacent to city streets, to Article 5, stopping, standing, and parking of Chapter 78, traffic and vehicle, providing a penalty in an amount not exceeding $200 for a violation of this ordinance, with each day constituting a separate violation, providing a severability clause and an effect date.
Can you repeat that, please? Sorry. This is an ordinance that was, I think, tabled at one time, and it was based on a legal review that they wanted some more clarification on exactly how this would be functioning, because the way it read earlier, there was a lot of wiggle room. So it's been reviewed, and we'll take you through this, hopefully. What was added, if I can get this thing to work. What was added was language specific to, we're talking about the right-of-way, and no parking, here it's, section 3A. No parking unlawful for any person to park a motor vehicle, or trailer so that any portion of such vehicle extends into the paved right-of-way portion of any city street or to encroach upon the street itself and constitute a condition dangerous to safe passage of other vehicles, continuing on and so forth. So it adds for the direction of a police officer to have them listen and move it. The tow-away zone at B, areas described in this section are hereby designated as no parking on pavement tow-away zone. That's it's wordy. It's going to require for every sign you want to put up, it's about $120, and if you want to do the entire right of way, you're going to put a sign every 400 feet all the way around the perimeter of the island. So I don't think that that's necessarily the inclusion, but we could put signs on problem areas and do education of people that are parking to make sure that they stay off the paved portion.
Wait, say that again.
Do education, you know, instead of going immediately to enforcement, do education and explain to people that they need to move their car, even if it's not posted, away from the paved portion of the city street. And we're all paved, so there's no, you know, gravel streets or anything like that. We're paved.
So we got here partially because we had some issues. Does this give you guys, the police department, the backing to feel like you can enforce these no parking areas? Because I think that was one of the issues previously, was that the police department felt that they didn't have an ordinance to back that. So does this wording? Okay.
And then as you continue, it's all that, it's all the underlying stuff that is added in, as is customary, but the signage and the addition of the paved portion of the street were the additions to the things that were in the original ordinance revision that was tabled. And because this does have a violation penalty, it would require publication. So there'll be a additional fee for publication. Not the entire ordinance, just by title, explaining that it has a penalty.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 2019-18, the City of Clear Lake Shores adopting the resolution.
This is an
nope,
ordinance.
not that one. There we go. 2019-18, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances in the City of Clear Lake Shores.
I'll second.
Angie made a motion, Amanda made a second, all in favor? Unanimous. Alright, item H, resolution 2019-18, the City of Clear Lake Shores adopting the resolution is desirous of providing for the construction of a boating access facility on East Shore Drive at Shell Bottom Park through the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department for funding of project.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution, whatever the number is, I'm sorry,
19-18.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Christie Lyons second, Amanda made a motion. All in favor? Alright, unanimous. Alright, item I, Parks and Pool Committee to acquire new holiday decorations in a nautical theme not to exceed $2,000.
I'll make a motion to approve Parks and Pool Committee to acquire new Christmas decorations in a nautical theme not to exceed $2,000.
I second.
Jan Bailey made a motion, Angie Terrell second, all in favor? Unanimous. Moving right along. Item J, executive session pursuant of section 551-074 concerning personal matters, authorizes certain deliberation about officers and employees of the governmental property to be held in the executive session. Item 1, to deliberate the appointment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. Considered as City Administrator Brent Spear, Police Chief Kenny Cook, and City Secretary Christy Straub. And then also item K, executive session pursuant of section 551-.72 authorizes a governmental body to deliberate in executive session on certain matters concerning real property. A governmental property may conduct a closed meeting to deliberate, purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property if deliberation in an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governmental body in negotiations with a third person.